Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Open University.
Hello dear student, have a nice day. Myself Kiran Patel, Assistant Professor in School of Computer Science of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Open University, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Dear students, we are going to start with the course RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. In today's session, we will learn about BLOCK-03, Oracle Server and SQL, in which Unit 1 is a structured query language. Now we will start with the BLOCK-03, in which Unit 1 is a structured query language. First of all, we see the agenda of the Unit 1 is the learning objectives and outcomes, introduction, basic data types of SQL, SQL statements like DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, etc. The data definition statement like table structure related commands, for example, create table, alter, drop, rename, etc. The constraint like primary key, foreign key, check constraint, null and not null constraint. Next one is the data manipulation statement like record related commands, for example, insert, update, delete, etc. The SQL operators like arithmetic, character operator, comparison, range searching, pattern matching, logical set operators, etc. Next one is the Oracle built-in function like group function or a scalar function. Next one is the SQL join, subqueries, views, index and SQL sequence. After learning this unit, you will be able to getting the knowledge about the SQL and its process architecture. To learn about the various types of the SQL statements, SQL operators and functions, joins and subqueries, etc. The student will be able to write the query to retrieve the data from the table as per their requirements and understand all the basic commands of the SQL. In short, getting all the things of the structured query language, that is SQL. Now we will start with the introduction of database lifecycle, DBLC. Here, what is SQL? SQL is a structured query language. It is an ANSI standard computer language. It is used to storing, manipulating and retrieving or accessing the data stored from the relational database. Now, SQL process. The SQL process is a set of steps of how the execute the user query. There are the various components includes in this process. See in the figure. It shows that when the SQL query will fire, then first query language processor is parses and optimize that SQL query and it pass the optimized version into the database engine. Now, what is SQL query? A query is a question or an inquiry about a set of data. We write a query when we require a set of data or the information from the tables. Now, what does the query language processor? The query language processor is the module responsible for executing the database query. The query processor receives as an input query in the form of the SQL commands and then parses and optimize them and complete their execution by employing the specific data access methods and data operator implementation. Now, what does parser? A SQL parser is a tool that reads the SQL query and checks the syntax, semantics and shared pools and convert the SQL query into an internal format that can be understood and processed by the computer system. Now, what does the optimization? It is a process of using the SQL queries in the best possible way to get the accurate and fast database result. It is a process in which the multiple query execution plans for the satisfying the query are examined and most efficient query plan is satisfied for the execution. Now, what does the database engine? A database engine or storage engine is underlying the software components that a database management system uses to create, read, update and delete the data from the database. Now, what does the file manager? A file manager enables packages to reference an existing files or folders or to create the files or folder at the runtime. Now, what does the transaction manager? The transaction manager contains the data maps, data source, data destination, triggers to initiate the transaction and SQL commands. The transaction manager also handles the failover the scenario such as the redundant path, failover servers or store and forward when the network goes down. In short, transaction manager handle all the transaction. What does physical database? Physical database, it is a structure, physical structure of the database including the tables, layout, data columns, names, index and sizing the information based on a bytes per row or number of rows. For example, suppose a user executes a query. There are the various methods of the extracting the data from the database. For example, the user wants to fetch the records of the employee whose salary is greater than or equal to 10,000. When we executing the SQL commands or queries, then the query language processor perform the some task. First of all, it checks the syntax of your commands or queries, and using the parser, the user query is translated into the internal form that can be understood by the system. Parser is like a compiler, same as the compiler converts the program, same as the parser convert the query into the SQL query into the internal form. After translating the user query, the system execute the query evaluation plan. So, in this way, the query processing begins its working. Usually, the database system generates an efficiency. Basically, it generates the efficient query evaluation plan which minimize its costs. The cost of the query evaluation can vary from the different types of the queries. This type of the task performed by the database systems is known as the query optimization. For optimizing a query optimizer should have a estimated cost analysis of each operation. It is because the overall operation cost depend on the memory allocation to several operations, execution cost and so on. The query execution engine is responsible for generating the outputs of the given query. It takes the query execution plan, execute it and finally makes the output for the user query. And finally, after selecting the evaluation plan, the system evaluates the query and produce the output of the query. Now, these are the process of database life cycle, how the queries enter into the system and execute by the query language processor, how the parser translate the query into the internal form and how the query optimization is select the best query evaluation plan and execute the query, and finally database engine gives the result and store the data into the physical database. Now the next one is basic data types of the SQL. First of all, we start with the query. Before that, we know the data types of the SQL. When we create the table, then the following data types are used, which is provided by the Oracle or the database. First, we see the data types for the character or a string value. The first one is the character n. The character n is a fixed length character data. It stored the maximum size is a 2000 bytes. If you do not provide the size, then by default or minimum size is 1 byte. Now first of all, what is fixed size and variable size? For example, of the student column, student name column have the size character 10. If we store the character 5, the character name like Suraj, character 10, then in the character data types, the remaining 5 character space is not free, but it allocates the blank space in the memory. So it is a wastage in the memory. And if we use the varchar 10 as name varchar 10, then remaining 5 character space is free. So the memory is not wastage. Now the varchar 2n, varchar 2 is the variable length character data, maximum up to 4000 character. N varchar 2 size is n is a variable length Unicode character string having the maximum size is determined by the notation character set definition with the upper limit of the 4000 bytes. Now what is Unicode? Unicode is a universal character encoding the standard. Unicode allows you to mix language from the different language groups in the same data server. Now the next data type is used for the numeric value. First is the number in the bracket P and S. P is the size, total size, and S is a scale. The numeric data type for the integer and real both. The numeric data type is used for both integer and real. The integer means without decimal point like 10, and real means with the decimal point like 10.50. P is equal to overall number of the digit maximum values, suppose 38. S is equal to number of the digits to right of the decimal places. For example, price number in the bracket 5, 2. Here we can store the maximum number up to 999.99. Suppose price is equal to 180.50. Then P is the total number of the digit is equal to 5, and S is the after decimal points number of digit is equal to 2.50. Now the float in the bracket P. This data type is a subtype of the number data type. It requires from 1 to 22 bytes. Now the next one is the long. Long is a variable length character data up to 2 GB. The date data type. The date data type is used to storing the date and time. The size is the fixed at a 7 bytes. Now the next data type is used for a binary types of data value. First one is the binary float, is a 32-bit floating points number. Binary double is used for a 64-bit floating point number. Row and long row is also used for a binary data, row binary data. Maximum size of row is 2000 byte and maximum size of long row is up to 2 GB. CLOB is a character large object, is used to store the character data up to 4 GB. Now NCLOB. Now NCLOB is a character data containing Unicode character up to 4 GB. Now BLOB is a binary data up to 4 GB and B file is a binary data stored into the external file up to 4 GB. Row ID is a base 64 number system representing the unique address of the row in its table. Now row ID, a base 64 number system representing the logical address of the row of the index organized table. Now the next one is the date and time data types. In this, the timestamp is the use for data with the fractional seconds. Next one is the interval year to month, stored as a interval of the year and months. The interval day to second, it is used to store as a interval of the days, hours, minutes and seconds. It is used for the date and time, both data type. Now we start with the SQL statements. The SQL statement includes the schema creation and modification and data access control, select, insert, update and delete the records. The SQL statement are divided into the different categories like DDL, DML, DCL, etc. First we see which are the DDL commands. DDL means data definition language. It is used to create and modify the structure of the object in the database. It includes the structure related commands. First is the create command. Create command is used to create a new object in the database. A object means the table, view, index, etc. Now the next one is the alter command. Alter command is used to modify or change the data type and size of existing object. The drop command is used to destroying the existing object, means drop the table with whole structure and all the data. Rename command is used to change the name of existing object. Truncate command, the truncate command is used to deleting an existing object, means the table structure remains the same. Table structure is not deleted, but all the records which is stored in the tables, all the data are deleted, means records, all the records will be deleted. Next, last one is a comment. It provides the single line or multi-line comments. Now the next language is the DML. DML means data manipulation language. It is used to create and modify the records of the object in the database. It includes the data records related commands. First one is the select command. Select command is used to retrieve the certain records from the one or more table or a views. Next one is the insert command. Insert command is used to insert the new records in the table. Update command is used to update or change or modify the existing records. Delete command, it is used to delete the existing records. And merge command is used to conditionally insert or update the data depending on the presence. Now, the next command is a DCL. DCL means data control language. It is used to control access privileges of the object in the database. In this, the grant command. Grant is used to give the different privileges to the user. Revoke command. The revoke command is used to take back the privileges which is given by the grant command from the user. Next one is the TCL, transaction control language. It is used to control the transaction of the object in the database. In this, the commit command. The commit is used to make the permanent all the changes performed in the transaction. Like the save, it save all the transaction in the database. Now, rollback command. Rollback command is used to undo all the uncommitted works done by the transaction. It is opposite to the commit command. Like the unsave, it is used to not save the transaction in the database. Now, save point command. The save point command is used to identify the points in the transaction to which you can later back the rollback. Now, the next one is the data definition statements. The data definition statement of the SQL is used to create the different database object. Object means tables, views, index, etc. and manage that object. It includes the structure related commands like create the table, alter with add columns, modify columns and drop the columns. Then drop the table commands, rename and truncate the commands. Now, first one is the create table command. Create table command is used to create the new database objects like the table, view, index, etc. The column name must be unique. The columns are separated by the colons. Here the syntax of the create table commands. First one is the create table, table name, and in the bracket, round bracket, column 1 and its data types and specify the size in the round bracket. Then not null, unique and column constraints. The square brackets is the optional and the round bracket is the compulsory. After that, the command is completed, then semicolon is used. The number of columns is presented in this brackets, opening and closing brackets. Now, the example of create table commands. Now, the example of create table commands, create table students. In the bracket, roll number, number 3, comma, name, varchar 2 in the bracket 10. Here, we create the student table. So, we can write create table student. In the round bracket, the first column name is the roll number, column name RNO. Its data type is a number and in the bracket 3 will be a size. In the bracket 3 is a size, after that comma and then second column name is a name. Its data type is a varchar 2 because name column is a stored character types of the data. That is why we use the varchar 2 in the bracket 10 is the size of the column. Now, the third column is a city. City is also stored the character data. So in the bracket it is a size of the city column. Now DOB is the date of birth column and it is used to store the date type of the data. So the data type is a date. Now phone number column is used to store the numeric data. So the data type of phone number is a number and in the bracket 10 is the size of the phone number. After that round bracket is close. Here is the opening bracket and here is the closing bracket. After that the command is completed, then semicolon is used. Semicolon is used for this command is completed and then enter for executing these commands. Now what is the rules of tables, create tables commands? The table name should be begins with the alphabets from the capital letter A to Z, small letter A to Z and numbers from 0 to 9 are allowed. The special character like underscore is allowed. The SQL reserve words not allowed. For example, create, select, etc. This one is not allowed in using the name of the table. Now the next DDL command is alter command. Alter command is used with the alter add or alter modify or alter drop command. Alter add, it is used to create the new column in the table. The syntax of alter table command is alter table, then table name, then add new column name, then data type and then size. After that command is completed, then round bracket is over and close, semicolon. For example, alter table student. We want to city column add in the student table. So alter table student, then add round bracket open and then city, and city contain the character data, alphabets. So the data type is varchar 2 and in the bracket size is 10, then bracket over, then this bracket is over and then semicolon. Now alter modify command, it is used to modify or change the data types and size, but you cannot change the column name. Now the syntax of this command is alter table, table name, then modify. Here we use the add command, here we use modify because we want to change the data type and size. That's why we use modify command. Now in the bracket old column name, then new data types and new size. For example, alter table student. We want to change the size of city column 15. Here the column is 10 and here the column is 15. We want to change the size of city column, then alter table student, then modify in the bracket city varchar 2 and then 15 and then bracket over and semicolon. Now the next, the rules is cannot change the table name and column name. Yes, the alter modify command is not used for to change the table name or column name. It cannot decrease the size of the column if the data exists. Here we see the size is 10 and here we increase the size 15. We don't decrease the size 8, 6 or 5 below 10. Okay. Now the next command is alter drop. It is used to drop or delete the command. The syntax of alter drop command is alter table, table name, then drop column, then column name. For example, alter table student and drop column city. Here the column city is deleted using this command alter and with drop command. Now the next command is a drop command. Drop command is used to destroying or deleting the table. It is not used with the alter table command. It is used single drop table. It is used to destroying the structure with all the data of the database object like table, view, index, etc. Syntax of drop command is drop table then table name. If we destroy the student table, then use the drop table student. So it will destroy the student table. Now the next one is the rename. Rename command is used to change the name of the table. Here the syntax is rename then old table name to new table name. For example, rename student table to stud_tb. So the student table name will be changed, is a student_tb. Now the next one is a truncate table command. It is used to delete complete data from the existing table. The table structure remains the same, but all the data will be removed. For example, here the syntax of the truncate table command is truncate table and table name. For example, truncate table stud_tb. It is used to destroy all the records from the stud_tb table and structure remains the same. Structure will not deleted, only all the records is deleted. Now the last one is the comment. It is used to provides the single line comments or multi-line comments. Now here we complete this session. Now at the end, thank you all. Today we have been discuss about the SQL data types, SQL statements like DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, and we also learn the DDL commands like create tables, insert, update and deletes the records commands. In the next session, we will start with the remaining topics of this unit. If you understand this session and getting the knowledge from this session, then please subscribe the BAOUGujarat channel. Once again, thank you all. Thank you guys.
स्वाध्यायः